Hello, my name is Anne DeSantis. I'm the director for the St. Raymond Donatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. I want to tell you what's been going on with us since we've been in existence in 2015. The Mercedarian friars came together and decided that they wanted to start a foundation to make outreach to families in crisis. And that's exactly what they did when the St. Raymond Donatus Foundation came into existence as a nonprofit 501c3 headquartered in Philadelphia. Since that time, I became the director in the beginning of 2018, and we basically have four facets to what we do. We offer prayer, priestly consultations, podcasts and videos, and also programs and events. Now, if you've never been to our website, just to invite you to go to nonatus.org and check out all the great things that we've been doing. Because since that time, since we've been in existence, we've now helped hundreds of families who are going through really challenging times. And as you all know, we went through a really challenging time in 2020. So I'd just like to invite you to go and check out the great things that we're doing. And there's more to come. If you or your church community would like us to come and do some type of an event where we can talk about what we offer in terms of that pastoral accompaniment and making outreach to families in crisis, please do reach out to us. And I'm just so grateful to be able to serve people like you and your families. So again, learn about us at nonatus.org. Thank you.
Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry present Journeys in Faith. Now, here's Anne DeSantis.
Hi, this is Anne DeSantis with Fiat Ministry Network. I'm here with the Journeys in Faith show. It's so wonderful to be back here with all of you again here on this Friday evening. And I have a great guest that not only do I know, but he's been a guest with me on another show that I used to host called The Positive Side. And so I'm really blessed to have here with us this evening, Julien Guiteau, coming to us from the West Coast. Julien, thank you so much for joining us on Journeys in Faith.
Of course. Thank you so much, Anne. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you back too, because you are an amazing guest. You've done so many great things. And why don't we just start out with how we know each other? Is that you were a student at DeSales University, where my daughter Elaine also graduated from, and you were an MC there for some of their events. So I just want to thank you. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about DeSales too during this show, but let's start out with your bio, if we could. I want to introduce you to our audience. Is that Julien Guiteau is a content creator, podcast host, and producer. He's the founder of a social media series, Adventures with Julien, Adventures with Julien, at Chilling with Julien, and the production company JFG Media Productions. He has a BS in marketing from DeSales University. Today, we're going to talk about how he sacrificed pausing his content creation to conquer new opportunities on the West Coast. So why don't we just start out with DeSales, because I know that was a great beginning for you, and even, as I said, even how we met.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you for the introduction. DeSales University is a university that definitely gave me a platform to really share what I had to offer in the creative space, the marketing space, and overall just showing my abilities in how I express myself. And there were a multitude of events that I was fortunate to be a part of where I got to showcase those skill sets. And I've made a lot of great connections and many great relationships that I still have to this day with individuals from that university. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without that university.
Yes, I know, and we miss you here on the East Coast. I will say that because, as I mentioned, that you were also a guest on the positive side. That was a show that I used to host. But now here I am at Fiat Ministry Network. And as you well know, sometimes our lives bring us in different directions when it comes to something like this, something like content creation. And so God has done so much for you in your life. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about your 2020 content and your own creative approach.
Most definitely. I miss you guys as well. So 2020 kind of hit us really hard all around the world with the pandemic. And it didn't really spark something in my mind that this was going to be the end of content creation. It kind of sparked something new where this is a new way to start shooting content. And a lot of our interviews were done on, Zoom or just remote in general. And we still showed how individuals are making an impact during the pandemic. For example, we did Adventures with Julien catch-up series where we're catching up on our past episodes. And one of the episodes were with Live and Up Health and Fitness in Bethlehem. And their story was incredible because they were actively helping out their community, bringing weights to their homes of their members, just to make sure the workouts happen and doing Zoom workouts. And same with Lehigh Valley Zoo, we covered them remotely, and they were just making sure to start something new. They had a Lehigh Valley Zoo drive-in where individuals can still attend the zoo, but instead of getting out of your car for COVID protocols, you would drive through and still see the animals and still allow, the zoo in general to have funds to continue feeding the animals. So the 2020 content creation was all about pivoting how we capture these stories in a different way. And it was not a time to halt. It was not a time to stop shooting content. It was a time to really come together as one, because a lot of people couldn't go out and engage anymore. So YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter were all the ways people were consuming their content. So I knew with having that platform already, let's continue to put that content out in a positive format. And we shot short films that was very strong towards the message during that time of 2020 as well.
I thank you for doing excellent work because I've been following you for quite a while. You were a guest with me on my other show. I think it was maybe about a year and a half ago already. I can't believe that the time has already passed to that extent. And now another thing that you did recently was the You versus You documentary, and you had sent it to me on email, and I was just really blown away how beautiful it was. I want to make sure that people be sure to connect with you on YouTube. Now, I believe it is your first name and your last name as the YouTube channel, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's Julien Guiteau. Be sure that you go to his YouTube channel, like it, and look for the You versus You documentary. Why don't you talk about that? Because that was really amazing. You put a lot of work into that.
Thank you. During the pandemic, I had shot a couple of content for my series, Adventures with Julien, and then some episodes for Chilling with Julien. And the spark of wanting to create short films was growing during the time of 2020. During the time of the pandemic, you have a lot of time to yourself and you're sitting at home and you're thinking and you're pondering. And as a creative, that can be tough because you don't really want to stay in one space. You don't want to be limited to not being able to have all the resources that you can. And at first it was going to be a sports type of commercial that I was thinking. And there was a really talented director slash cinematographer at DeSales who was a senior at the time, named Chris Touche. And he and I had worked previously on a past Chilling with Julien episode in New York with another friend of ours, but it was towards an interview type of filming. But his cinematography work was so appealing to me. I knew I wanted to collaborate with him in that type of department. So I didn't really know what the project was going to be about when I had reached out to him, but he was all hands on deck with helping me develop what type of idea we wanted to bring to life. And it hit me one day like, wait, let's talk about my journey in college of, my struggles, adversity, and how I eventually got out of that situation, got my diploma, and then headed into corporate America. And he loved the idea. I wrote the script within 2 hours. It was about maybe 1 a.m. at night, and I sent it over, and he started sending me the shot list of all of the shots that he had envisioned. And he said, I love this idea. Let's do it. And it took about 5 days to shoot. Each day we came prepared. Each day we came ready and focused to make sure we got the story right. And when we officially put it out, it did so much better than we thought it was going to do. Not to say with that we didn't really have much expectations for it, but it was just something that was both a passion of ours. And we got nominated for about 6 to 7 film festivals. And then eventually it screened at the DeSales University Film Festival in an outdoor drive-in theater event. And I think that was one of the most biggest highlights of my content creation that I've experienced and Chris's experience, because of how much recognition we got for our work.
Yeah, it honestly, I have to say, it really is incredible. You did an excellent job with that. It really gets to the heart. And especially with something like a pandemic year where so many people were suffering. And, this show is Journeys in Faith. And so people who watch the show want to be encouraged in their faith. And I know that your experience at DeSales and just your faith in God has gotten you through so much, and even to this point of being able to produce something so beautiful. So I just want to thank you for doing that. And I'm going to keep an eye out, obviously, for the great work that you're going to do in the future, because I know that you will, not only with your full-time career, but other things that you do as a side note, too. I wondered if you could talk about taking that leap of faith when you went to LA this past year. You're not from the West Coast. You're originally from the East Coast, closer to where I am.
Yes.
What was that? What has that experience been like for you? And what have you learned so far?
It's interesting because I had never thought I would make such a risky and big jump ever. And January 2021 is when I officially made the jump to Los Angeles to start working remote out of the East Coast and just live in LA and see what that life was like. And I had a few friends out here. And I think that was my driving point. I knew I had individuals out here for support. And I think December 2020, it was just like, I wanted to take more risk in 2021. And I wanted a new chapter in 2021. I wanted a fresh slate. We had gone through so much during the pandemic of 2020 and racial injustice and multiple things in the political world as well. So a lot of struggle was going on in 2020, and I wanted a fresh start. And 2021 allowed me to do that based on this jump that really kind of came out of a gut feeling that I needed to jump out here. And I'm grateful that, when I did jump out here, it was something that I knew felt right. And we hadn't got a heads up from our company to come back into the office just yet. So I knew staying out there months after months after months after months was going to give me a new perspective and a new chapter to just think fresh, start something new, and really see what it is that West Coast has to offer if it did.
Yeah, I just am amazed at the great work that you're doing and that leap of faith, like you called it, a leap of faith, because exactly what it was a leap of faith. So now, unfortunately, we have to take a short break, but we're going to come right back here with Julien Guiteau here on Journeys in Faith. So stay tuned.
Today, many students go to college with numerous questions about their faith, yearning to know if the seed planted in them as a child is both true and practical. Using the miracle on the road to Emmaus as a model, young adult ministers conversed weekly for 3 months with college students about the most pressing questions they had about the Catholic faith. As they journeyed together virtually, something amazing happened. Doubts disappeared, fears faded, and Jesus revealed that He is still alive. Hearts Burning Within Us, the latest book from Patchwork Heart Ministry, is a result of that grace-infused conversation. It is the perfect back-to-school gift for recent high school graduates and current college students. Get your copy for them today at patchworkheart.org or by calling 424-704-3278. That's 424-704-3278.
Welcome back to Journeys in Faith. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Julien Guiteau, and not only is he a person that I've interviewed before, but he's a friend too, as he is a graduate from DeSales University, where I'm very familiar since my own daughter graduated from there as well. And now he's living on the West Coast, doing some wonderful things, and he talked about that a lot during the first half of the show. So just to pick up off on where we left off on the ending part of the first half of the show, you talked about that leap of faith that you made when you moved out to the West Coast from the East Coast. Talk about what was it like also the pausing of your content to complete the mission of landing the job in LA?
It was one of the most nerve-wracking things I think I've experienced, because here I am for 2 years straight shooting content, Adventures with Julien episodes, Chilling with Julien episodes, short films, always constantly on the go, moving, doing something. And then boom, I take a halt and I take a pause. And it was definitely odd. It was weird. It was scary, because I had created a connection with, my viewers, my supporters, my individuals that I, get so much drive and energy from online. And I was taking a break from that. But little did I know that was going to be one of the best breaks I needed, not only physically, mentally, spiritually. I took a break, not only from the content, but it gave me an opportunity to really find another side of who Julien is as an individual. And I had more time to work on me. And a big part of what I wanted to work on in my personal goals was pivoting my career to a new chapter and that next step. And I had been working at my role for 2.5 years at the time, and then 3 years. And I knew I wanted something new. I wanted something fresh. And LA was the place that I wanted that next chapter to happen. And I was applying for jobs, having multiple interviews, whether Zoom, in person, you name it. And just things weren't really coming into fruition. But I didn't quit. I didn't quiver. I knew something was out here for me. And I think that's a big reason why me pausing the content was so important to achieving this mission first and get back to the content later.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're definitely on a journey, right? Like a journey in faith kind of thing, as the show says. And you've also been doing a lot of auditions as well. And as we refer to them as like side hustle exposure. So tell us a little bit about that, because not only are you working full time, but you're also doing some auditions.
Yes, most definitely. Another big reason I wanted to be in LA was the curiosity of what it's like to audition for commercials, gigs, different shows, and working with different production companies on their bigger brands, smaller products. And when I had my first audition out here, it was actually a self-tape. And a lot of the pandemic rules were you couldn't have in-person auditions. So a lot of my beginning auditions in January and February, March, April were self-tape auditions. And I was booking some and some I wasn't. But the ones that I was booking, I got to go in person onto their sets. It was all COVID safety protocols. And I got to work with some really big brands and see and soak in what it's like to be a part of a bigger production company shoot. And I think that was what I was searching for. I wanted to see what it was like outside of my own production. Like when I'm shooting an Adventures with Julien episode or a Chillin' with Julien episode, that's a personal one-on-one, probably one camera individual and one editor. And then my guest, but LA exposed me to learn about what these bigger shoots are like. And you're going to audition for maybe 15, gigs, and you may only get 2, but you have to learn how to continue to keep the ball rolling and audition for the next thing and the next thing. But I think that's the biggest thing that I learned was, or wanted to learn, was what it was like to see an on-set music video, on-set commercial, on-set product placement, promotion type of gig. And I learned a lot about that in LA, and I still do that on the side on the weekends. And I was just on set yesterday for like different products. So I'm enjoying the fact that I can do my main job, but also do these gigs and learn, every single day.
Yeah, you're right. Learning is just such an important thing when it comes to this business. I myself have done a little bit with that, with commercials and different things here in the greater Philadelphia area, which is very different market from LA, as you know. But
Yes.
so I just commend you on your courageousness and just getting out there and doing it. Now, you've always been a person of very much positivity, and that's just who you are. But you know that with this business, and especially with doing all of those auditions, is that you're going to get some rejection too. Can you talk a little bit about what that's been like? Because obviously you've still kept the positivity, even though you don't get every single job that you've applied for with some of the commercials and opportunities.
Most definitely. I've done more and more research on some of the most influential individuals in production for me, such as Michael B. Jordan, Will Smith, Ryan Coogler, Ava DuVernay, Lena Waithe, Issa Rae. All of these individuals have inspired me in their interviews of understanding you're not going to get yeses every time in these audition rooms. You're not going to land the best role off the bat. You're possibly not going to write the best script. And you have to really learn and work through that and really love the craft and really love the journey of really putting in the work as an actor, actress, writer, producer, director. And I think that's what gave me the courage to know that these no's are temporary. You have to brush it off and shoot your next audition or go to your next opportunity. And I think that's what gave me the resilience to know that the most biggest actors and the greats, which we say in production, TV, and film, have been rejected their entire lives and continued getting rejected for some big roles, but they just keep pushing. And once they land that big role, it's like they're grateful for it. They take it as their baby because they know they had 1,000 no's prior to that, and they probably get 1,000 no's after that, but they just keep going because they love the craft. And I think that's what helped me really get through that adversity of rejection.
That's good advice. And I don't think it's just good advice for actors and people in the entertainment industry. It's really good advice for anybody because, we're going to get rejected in so many facets of who we are, and no matter what type of work you do. So I just want to thank you because you just gave some great words of wisdom to a lot of our audience here on Journeys in Faith. So Let's talk now about your job with Showtime, because I know that, here you are, you're living out in LA, and not only are you doing all these auditions and pretty busy with all that, but you do have a full-time job. So we'd love to hear more about that.
Most definitely. I recently got accepted to be an executive assistant at Showtime Networks, which is a subsidiary of Viacom CBS, which I was previously working. And my whole goal was to find that next chapter, but hopefully internal. And I'm grateful that came about. I've been getting so much rejections from different companies throughout the time of trying to look for that next step. And I'm grateful that Showtime took a chance on me to, really believe in my skill sets, my abilities. A lot of what I was bringing to the table during the interview was not only who I am as an individual, my experience, but also my experience in the world of television and film. And I've shared, information about my series, my podcast, my documentaries, and that's what really they were looking for. They were looking for someone who is not only an individual that can get the job done, but someone who is in that world, is in that space of creating content for TV, film, documentary work, content. And I'm grateful. This is the beginning of a new chapter. I can now fully breathe and know that I'm here in LA to stay. I don't have to worry about, possibly having to go back, because that was my goal. I wanted to achieve that LA role and now continue to see what LA has to offer. And I'm grateful for this new chapter, and the people that I work with are incredible.
Oh, that's so great. And I know it's a dream because you and I communicated during the pandemic, talked on the phone, and you were telling me a little bit about this. So I'm just really glad that it all worked out so perfectly, and just continue to offer my prayers as you move forward and in your career and all the great things. Now, what about your content creation? I know that you kind of put that on a pause, but is there any time in the future that you think you might get back to it?
Yes, most definitely. This is the beginning of now opening the doors of the possibilities of what I can do with, the series I began, Adventures with Julien, the podcast, Chilling with Julien, and then the short films from JFG Media Productions. I have so many ideas that I listed on my content sheet for 2021, 2022. And, I hope to roll them out next year and start really getting back into the things I love. And I'm grateful to have friends out here in the production field, in videography, editing, and also individuals in the East Coast that I can connect with and send videos to help me edit and branch ideas off of. So I'm looking forward to, in the new year, start beginning the content creation again for my shows. And it's an exciting time because now I'm back on to focus on different things that bring joy to not only my supporters, but myself as well.
Well, I told you on one of our phone calls that in the future, I don't know when, but I see you as a keynote at DeSales. I'm going to just say that because I think that you just are doing such amazing things, and who knows where the future will lead there. But why don't we end with gratitude? I know gratitude is a big part of who you are and your faith, the faith that God is going to bring you through and help you to make those dreams come true. And, you're also a really good role model for so many people. So tell us about gratitude in your life.
I'm grateful for not only having the opportunity to have a platform at my university, which helps me, branch out to eventually have a platform at Viacom CBS, and then now have a platform here in the West Coast. And throughout my time of creating content, I always wanted to use that platform as a way to shed light on others doing great things, whether it was local companies in the Lehigh Valley, talented individuals from New York, Pennsylvania, LA, or just short films, or just showing that we all go through adversity, or we all go through bumps in the road. And it's a way for me to show the togetherness of, what we all go through, whether it may be different struggles. We can eventually get to the successes and the places we want to be if we actually understand that we're not alone in it. And I'm so grateful that I've prayed about something that seemed kind of big. And I encourage individuals to dream big, pray big, and know how much gratitude can play a part in your future, because the people around you, they're the ones that kind of really orchestrate, where you're headed. You got to look around your circle. You got to look around the people who are supporting you, and you need to make sure that you thank them. And I thank you, Anne. You're an individual that I'm grateful for, to have that platform back in 2019 and also now, because we can share our stories. And I hope to do that to the next individual who comes on the next episode of my content. And I want to say how grateful I am for all of the videographers, editors, individuals who had a part to do with any of the production things I've put together in DeSales, in my shows, in my place of work, within my family. And I know that I was given that platform to really make a difference. And I'm going to use that platform to, really shed light and positivity.
Well, you are. You absolutely are. And I just want to thank you so much. Please come back again here on Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis on Fiat Ministry Network. So again, Julien Guiteau, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Anne.
God
Have a great
bless
day,
you.
everybody.
We'll see you all next week. Take care.
Journeys of Faith is a production of Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry. For more information about Journeys of Faith, email info@fiatministrynetwork.tv. And be sure to friend, follow, and like us on social media. Just search Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis.